This week's Parashah is Parashat Bo, and Rabbi Eliyahu Dweck, the great rabbi from Halab from the 1700s, in his beautiful Sefer Birkat Eliyahu, he tried very hard in his lifetime to raise the funds to print the Sefer. I have copies of the pre-printed volume that he was going around with his handwritten notes to the donors, please help me print the Sefer. But he wasn't zocher to print it in his lifetime, and it only came out after he had passed on. He brings down in this week's parasha on the pasuk in Makat Arbe, Paro tells Moshe, "Mi va mi haolechim." Who's going to go? And Moshe Rabbeinu answers, "Benarenu b'zkenenu nelech, bevanenu bivnotenu." We're going to take our children as well, and we're going to go. So he brings down a midrash. The midrash tells us, you know what Paro was asking when he asked, "Mi va mi haolechim"? He was hinting to the future. Mi ya'aleh behar Hashem, that mi. The first mi was mi ya'aleh behar Hashem. And the second one was mi yakum bimkom kocho. Who's going to have the ability to stand and receive the Torah? Moshe Rabbeinu answered back, bevanenu bivnotenu, that's the midrash. Rabbi Eliyahu Dweck says, I don't understand. What was wrong with the simple understanding? Who's going to leave Egypt? Who do you want to take? And Moshe Rabbeinu answers back, our children as well. What was wrong with that? That we had to be explaining the Pesukim of the future. Who's going to be able to stand? Miyaleh behar Hashem. Why did it have to go off the simple understanding of the Pesukim? And he says, because the Midrash was bothered by a few things. Why does it say, Bevanenu bivnotenu nelech? We will go with our sons and our daughters. Of course, when Paro asks, who's going? Moshe Rabbeinu says, my son and our children. Why do we have to say, our children will go? Well, you don't need that extra, will go. And really the understanding here that Paro was bothered with was, Mi ya'aleh behar Hashem, u'mi yakum bimkom kocho. Who's able? Who's the only one? The Pasuk in the Tehillim tells us, Neki kapayim. Only ones that are pure, that have clean hands. Ubar levav, and pure hearts. We know that the Jewish people in Egypt were serving Avodah Zarah just like Mitzrayim, like it says in the Midrash. Why are you saving the Jews by Yam Suf? They serve idols, they serve idols. So the Jewish people were not Neki Kapayim Ubar levav, they weren't pure in heart with Hashem. So Paro was asking, Mi ya'aleh behar Hashem? Who is going to be the ones that are going to be able to be pure, bal levav, pure of heart, to be able to receive the Torah and to stand bimkom kocho, mi yakum bimkom kocho, mi va mi. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, you know what? Bevanenu bivnotenu, our children, the Zechut of our children. You're right, the parents, they don't have that Neki kapayim ubar levav with Hashem. They're not in that pure state. But bevanenu bivnotenu. Don't underestimate the children, the education of the children. He brings down the Pesukim and Devarim of Hakel. Hashem says, gather the Jewish people to teach them that they should learn, Leman yishmeu v'yilmedu, that they should learn and they should hear Musar, to learn to fear Hashem. And it says in the Pasuk, Hakel et ha'anashim ve'anashim ve'ataf. So the rabbis all say, if it says, gather the men and the women, why are the children coming? And the rabbis tell us that we should get sachar for bringing them. That even if the children alone are not going to be able to absorb the message, at least we, as the ones bringing them, should have the zechut at least of bringing the kids to a situation of education. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu was telling Paro. You're right. The Jewish nation is not neki kapayim ubar levav. They're not in that purest state. But don't underestimate the education of the children. The purest of pure. If they're going to learn, they're going to be the ones to receive the Torah. It's fantastic. But even if they're not, we're holding the zechut. Bevanenu bivnotenu nelech. With that zechut of the nelech, of bringing our sons and daughters just to a situation of a mountain where the Torah is going to be given, and they're not going to even be in the situation, they're going to be able to absorb the education. That zechut alone will give us the merit to be able to be allowed to be in that place of the ones that are neki kapayim ubal levav. The zechut of education is so powerful. A parent who's going to bring their children to school and they're going to learn. There's no comparison to the purity of heart studying Torah. But even if they're not going to study, the merit of just bringing them there to study is so powerful that although the Jewish nation wasn't zocheh to be able to go out, Moshe Rabbeinu's answer to Paro was just the bringing of them alone merits us to be able to stand in that place. Bimkom kodsho. Hashem, we should appreciate the powerful zechut of educating our children. Hashem, we should have a beautiful Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.